boils and ghouls. Welcome to episode 54 Beyond Retro. I'm Nathan Kennedy, joined here by the king of customization, Joe Amato, and the associate producer of Power of Grayskull, the definitive history of He-Man and the Master of the Universe, Tank Tops, Tyler Baker. And this is the first episode of October. So it's going to sort of be like a horror month. Sort of, not really. We'll have some horror comedies and such, much like our topic today. But before we dive right on into this, any of you guys, new listeners, what have you, come across the channel, hit subscribe, ring the bell so you get notified. You can join us live. Some days it's 2 p.m. Eastern. But Joe and Tyler, man, you remember when Tim Burton made good movies? I was looking at his filmography. Yeah. Like, it's crazy. Just how many hits he had back to back to back to back like that. Like in the 3-year span, it was Beetlejuice, Batman, Edward Scissorhands. You know, it's just a boom, 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 done.
And then Batman Returns, and
and then Mars Attacks, Ed Wood, which sort of fell under the radar a little bit when it came out. But man, that's a fantastic film, and it just seemed like it all started to go downhill with the Planet of the Apes remake. Because sort of after that, he was never really the same.
Except Sleepy Hollow. To me, Sleepy Hollow was like the last, like, legit, kick-ass, beginning to end, great film. I mean, like, that's it. So, like, the one time I find like he got something right after he's like made it big, which he made it big after Batman, but still, like, you kind of feel like you expect. But like all the great directors too, from Oliver Stone and Steven Spielberg and. God, I always draw a blank when I try and do this comparison. But a lot of them, they lose that magic after they made so many great movies, and they can't deliver anymore. They just make agenda films, like trying to get the Oscar or trying to make a statement film or a period film. Like, I don't know, one gives a shit. Where's the magic?
Yeah, I just don't understand like what happened, especially with him, because all those other directors. While they produced good films, didn't, to me anyway, at least have that distinct style. Tim Burton has this, you could watch any of these things, but all right, Tim Burton, and that's just sort of fallen off. And I think the dogs would agree. I'll let you guys continue.
Yeah.
That's great. I always love when there's an interruption with the dogs. Of course, he just hit mute. Oh, he turned off his camera too.
Yeah.
But no, I never seen Ed Wood. I never seen Yeah, and I've never seen Nightmare Before Christmas.
Well, he didn't direct it; he just produced that. But he's always associated with it, though. That's the thing. Like everyone, always thinks because it's his style and his name is attached to it. But he did not direct it, but he did produce it, and you can clearly tell it's a Tim Burton-esque film anyway.
Oh, okay. And as for Mars Attacks, I think I've seen half of it. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen that fully through, so I didn't know if it's a great movie, a stinker, or what. I don't know if you've seen it all.
I enjoyed it. I kind of felt like it wasn't as good as I had hoped when I saw it in theaters, but it's still a great film. It's a fun film. It's packed with cameos by an ungodly amount of actors. So it's still a fun movie. I think by that point, like when it came out, like I was expecting so much from Tim Burton because of the 2 Batman films he had done and Edward Scissorhands. And I liked it, but I kind of felt like it wasn't as good as I'd hoped, even though me and my brother went and saw it, like, I think 2 or 3 times, I think. But it's still a great film. I love it even today. But I think after that...
I should probably see it. I guess I'm going to have to rent it or Netflix it, or I don't know if it's on Netflix, but I guess I'll have to see it.
It shouldn't be too hard to find. Plus, if you enjoyed the Mars Attacks trading cards and that whole concept, I mean, that's what it is. I mean, it's people being destroyed, and you got Michael J. Fox and Sarah Jessica Parker and Pierce Brosnan, Jack Nicholson, Glenn Close, Natalie Portman, Joe Don Baker, and then cameos from people that have been in his other films. It's just it's a fun movie. It feels like a 1950s B movie / sci-fi movie by Tim Burton, and it's fun. I feel like some people they may not even have kind of understood it, but I was aware of the Mars Attack trading cards as a kid, because it all made sense to me. And everything too. Plus, you got Pam Grier and Jim Brown in it too, so it's just packed with people.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. I mean, I love Sleepy Hollow, and what has Sleepy Hollow has he done? Maybe there's something that he's done that I just forgot about, but because Nathan made it seem like pretty much anything he's made past that has sucked. So I mean, what else has he done?
Well, I wouldn't say that everything he's made past that has sucked. Like I enjoyed Big Fish. I know a lot of people liked Frankenweenie a lot just because it goes back to that style of stop motion and uh,
Plus, he made the actual live version of Frankenweenie back in the
Yeah.
80s, too.
Yeah, but honestly, probably I think Big Fish is the only other thing after Planet of the Apes that he's made that I've enjoyed because Charlie and the Chocolate Factory just missed the mark.
Yeah.
I had no interest in seeing The Dark Shadows.
I didn't either.
Because
I didn't want to see a comedy. I wanted to see like an Edward Scissorhands kind of like either horror / kind of tragic story take on it. No, it's fish out of water. We've never seen that before.
Yeah, and he's directing the live action version of Dumbo,
which looks depressing.
Yeah,
which I'm not going to see that. It looks like it could be quite good, but I mean, Dumbo is just a sad story. Like I don't want to see. It's a sad
movie anyway.
Yeah,
I don't want to see it.
I'm not going to see that. You know, I don't want to go and just I think it'd be good for kids to see it though, because kids need to feel like they ought to shed some tears going to see a movie. They need to not feel like they're sheltered away from crying and being scared. As an adult, like I've seen enough of that. I don't need to go see more, but kids do need to be exposed to that kind of stuff. So I hope it is, very sad and tragic at moments is the way it should be.
I hope it turns out as good as the Jungle Book live action version did, because I thought that was pretty good.
It was. I definitely want to see the Mowgli, the other one that Andy Serkis is putting out too. That looks pretty damn good too. But Tim Burton, he's definitely established himself as one of the greatest directors. Like so many have come. But unfortunately, all of his best movies were when he was a hungry young director. Even though he was handed like the keys to the kingdom after Batman, because when you make the juggernaut that was, you don't have to, I guess kind of be the you get respect after making something like that, but all of them even like Sam Raimi and stuff like that too, where they make like this long chain of memorable and striking films, and then they kind of reach a point where they just don't turn out the quality that you kind of expect from them, and some of us probably disagree, where they feel like, what, they like all of Burton's films, all of Spielberg's films, all of Oliver Stone's and Sam Raimi and things like that too. But Tim Burton's done enough though to where, it's a shame that his they all just feel like they're just kind of out there in like the style. And even that, the style just kind of feels like it's oversaturated with look how weird and quirky this is, as opposed to it's not smacking in the face. Like we're here to talk Beetlejuice. And you watch Beetlejuice, it gradually builds into, because it starts out like a very simple, small town horror movie kind of thing, or supernatural thriller, excuse me, and gradually goes into the Tim Burton style with the supernatural aspects and the style, the characters and stuff like that. Like it's a gradual build up into that, and it's, I almost feel like with like Pee-wee's Big Adventure, there's subtle moments of Tim Burton style in that too. It's not just weird, out there kind of crazy stuff thrown in there. And Edward Scissorhands is another one. It feels more. These earlier films feel much more grounded with doses of Tim Burton's style and visual outlook, and that's what makes them magical and memorable. And then after that, it felt like it's just kind of like it's like buckets of paint, and he's kind of throwing all over the place.
Yeah,
and you just kind of feel like, dude, there's just too much here, and it's not needed, kind of thing.
Well, I think one other movie I would throw out here that I like, I thought it was good, but I would probably not revisit it just because I'm not into that style at all. Sweeney Todd was fine, but I'm just I'm not much into musicals. So
I hate musicals. I think I made it like 38 minutes, 40 minutes in, and after hearing
38 is oddly specific for this.
Well, I just remember it was after Helena Bonham Carter's like second or third song, and I'm like, I can't listen to this shit anymore, and I turned it right off. Is that song Poor Thing? I'm like, oh god, it's like watching pigs being slaughtered. It's like, turn this shit off, and I never finished it after that.
Props to Who Dat Will for noticing Frank over here on the shitter. Maybe some people just weren't like. I'm like, I wonder if anyone's really gonna notice at all.
Well, we'll just say if they do, they're hardcore fans. Like they're not just just turning in. It's three guys from the East Coast trying to talk horror movies. What the hell do they know?
Either that, or we're just boring enough that they're just looking at all the shit behind us, and that's entertaining enough for them. I don't know.
Yeah. But we are
Beetlejuice.
I guess. Yeah, Beetlejuice.
Say it one more time, Joe. We'll make him appear.
I'm gonna have that happen. You know what's funny is like Beetlejuice along. Oops, did it? No, but Beetlejuice along with Toxic Avenger. Isn't it strange that two movies that star characters that are kind of like frightening but kind of lovable turn into cartoons that that kids are loving? Then it's just bizarre because Beetlejuice, you look at it, it's like there's comedic moments, but also some very kind of scary parts in that movie.
I was going to ask you guys too because the same was for me and my brother as a kid. Like much like Ghostbusters, would watch it a whole lot, but at there are times where you kind of are dreading certain moments, and you get like, "Oh my god!" Like I dread this moment, and go in Beetlejuice. And I was going to ask you guys if it had like horrific effects when you're watching, not to think of nightmares, but you're just like, "Ooh."
No, there were freaky parts. I mean, when you even think of, towards the end when, they're decomposing, I mean, it just looks, you felt so horrible.
God,
you see their bodies and
creepy as hell.
It looked like they're dying. And then, of course, the afterlife, place where they go around all the other people. There was
that part was fascinating, though.
It was fascinating, but parts still kind of creepy. Like, there was the things with me and skeletons when I was a kid that just used to get me in. They're sitting there just typing, like they're just sitting there working at the office, and they have those skeletons do it. But the one that I hated in that office the most when they were sitting there in the waiting room was the damn poor guy, having the cigarettes, because he just
that made my dad laugh hysterically over that one.
He just looks sickly and scary, but man, that damn little shrunken head, that's the one that killed me. When she sat there and looked over, he was like doing that crazy little look. I laughed my ass off.
I love if he kind of does that style, like, because it's Gina Davis, and she looks pretty cute in the movie, too, so I'd be doing a heavy sigh also looking at her.
Yeah, but it was genius. I love the looks of that little shit, that shrunken head, and then the clever stuff with the woman that chopped in half one part of the body here, there, just... There was great parts in the movie, but yeah, there was, like I said, it's scary moments. I mean, heck, even when Beetlejuice turned into that kind of crazy-ass looking snake and stuff, that was a frightening thing. But then he brought the comedy into it, too. And, what was that rated by chance?
PG-13, I believe, yeah.
Okay, because what's the limit on curse words to where it makes it
PG-13, because I remember that threw me as a kid, because when I saw it, it was like, you only hear that in rated R movies, and oddly enough, like it made my whole family laugh. Like it wasn't one of those things where it's like, oh my, like we can't watch this or something like that.
Your dad just turns it off. No,
well, it does make sense. We can watch it in Predator, but couldn't watch it in this. But no, Beetlejuice has no problem. But typically, you're allowed one fuck in the PG-13 if you do it at all. Which was always surprising.
You're right. When he did it, it was nothing sounding horrible, malicious. It was in the humorous part when he kicked over the tree and he says, "Nice fucking model." It
grabs his nuts with that. I think that sound effect too was just like, I almost feel like too, and it's when you watch those scenes, and I feel like this is like Hellraiser, where it's advertising Pinhead, but Pinhead's barely in it, and this has got Michael Keaton prominent on the movie poster and everything, and he's not in it that much, but God, he steals every scene he's in, and his energy is like a young Jim Carrey, where he is just bouncing all over the place with his and leaping on Alec Baldwin's back, and his face and manners, like it's just like he's been cranked up to 11, and like
and trying to get that little squeeze when he was doing that for Barbara, Gina Davis, when those weird little sound. Damn it, he was cracking me up every time we were trying to get a kiss and hug, and just a perverted little shit. And, just a little sound, say that for later, or whatever. Just the shit he done. It was so off the wall. Everything he was saying was bizarre, but it was fascinating. And what amazes me is because here's weird. I've suggested, hey, let's talk about Beetlejuice. And then, I don't know if it was the same week or the week after, they said, yeah, they're going to be celebrating 30 years of Beetlejuice. I was like, well, what a weird coincidence. But also, within all this time, that's a movie that I can't believe there was never a sequel for. Because here's the thing with, of course, Michael Keaton. He could still go right into that role and look just like Beetlejuice now. If they were to put the makeup on, he'd look spot on. But I was like, I wonder what held that back. Was it him not wanting to do it, or just...
No. It had been public, and especially in the last 3 years, I think, that Tim Burton and Michael Keaton announced that they were going to do a sequel, and then for whatever reason, it just kind of fell flat. Like, I mean, not just like
why.
that random rumor talk that you see on movie websites. Like, no, it was like legitimately quoted by both of them. It's been greenlit. We're going to do this, and then for whatever reason,
that was really weird. I don't know if this happened on anyone else's.
I heard it.
Tyler went into slow motion. Well, for whatever reason.
Guys, as if like I didn't have enough against me with my southern accent, and I'm like, for whatever reason.
But Beetlejuice goes Hawaiian was the plan.
Yeah, that was something too. But then obviously that got dropped, and thank God it did. And then it was brought back to the forefront that they were going to do an actual sequel, and I don't think it was going to be anything remotely close to that idea of Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian, which was something that was tossed around at Warner Brothers in the 90s.
Like, what would you even do with that?
It's one of those films too, like, you know what? I think the cartoon series kind of served as like a decent sequel in terms of like, if you want to see more of it, the cartoon captures that essence. It's not as scary, obviously, as the movie, but for kids, and the portrayal of Beetlejuice and Lydia, I'm like, it's done pretty good to where you kind of feel like if you want more of it, watch the cartoon, because the cartoon does a pretty solid job of carrying on what you saw in the movie, but not like dumbing it down for kids. Like it still feels like it's a cartoon with lots of energy and, you know, horror ideas and stuff like that too. But it just doesn't need a sequel. It doesn't need, but you know what? It's a movie that if it had one, I think at least could work. Compared to, like I've always said, I would never want to ever see a sequel to The Goonies. It just wouldn't work. It wouldn't make sense. I don't want to see a sequel to The Goonies. But for some reason, with Beetlejuice and that character, I think they could make a damn good sequel. I would hope. It would have had. I almost feel like, knowing what Tim Burton does with his movies now, I wouldn't want to see it. I was intrigued because of Michael Keaton being so animated, because he's very proud of that role. So that's if Keaton, obviously I would have given it a shot, because if it's all right for Keaton, it's all right for me. Whether it's good or not is to be determined. But I feel like a sequel that would have been like what we would have liked to have seen should have been done in the early 90s, because Beetlejuice was such a hit with the cartoon series and the toy line. You got video games and stuff like that too. It became a marketing machine, and I feel like if you're going to do a sequel, it should have been, you know, somewhere in between, you know, after the first Batman or after Batman Returns, something like that.
No, I can understand, especially that early. But I mean, it definitely does have a huge cult following. And like I said, it has its 30-year celebration. I went into a lot of stores. I went into Hot Topic.
I was just about to bring that up.
Yeah, it was a Hot Topic, gigantic displays, all promoting about Beetlejuice. And I think it's something that still could work. There's a lot of, you know, people that nowadays who didn't grow up back then when we did, they still watch it, and it can still hold up, and it's great. And I think it could and would deserve a sequel. It's just when I'm thinking about characters like, meaning, okay, Michael Keaton. Okay, like I said, if he put on the makeup and down that outfit again, I think he could jump right back in, look perfect as Beetlejuice, and it wouldn't look like he aged. And it's my example I always brought up of when they, you know, had that new Nightmare on Elm Street made back, you know, with not Robert Englund, you know.
Why you got to bring that up?
Why are you doing
terrible experience?
Well, I got to bring up that Jack Earl Haley or whatever. Well, the thing was, immediately you could see the difference. And well, that's the thing. Beyond it not being a great movie, you look and you're like, they don't look like Robert Englund. And I said, that's the curse of some movies. When you have a character that is iconic, like, you know Robert Englund's face. When somebody else is doing it and trying to roll, it can't work. Now, here's the thing. I mean, you think of characters like Michael Myers and Jason, and yes, they could put on the mask, and it usually would work, but you still got to know their walking mannerisms, and there's a way, like, you can't just throw on the hockey mask or the Michael Myers mask and become Michael Myers and walk a certain way and it'll look off. You got to capture the character, but it can't work with a character like Freddy Krueger, and this is what I'm leading up to. Can't work with Michael Keaton. Picture of Michael Keaton wouldn't be Beetlejuice. Like, what if in 10 more years they said, we're going to announce a Beetlejuice sequel, and it's a whole new actor? It's like, it doesn't feel the same. Some characters can get away with it with the masks, and if they study a role and mannerisms enough, but others, when that's their face, it just don't work. And even all the computer-generated crap that they might try to alter stuff, that doesn't even work for the movie. So that's why I wish they would do it before he would get too old, and then What if they cast it to somebody else? That's all I'm saying is if they ever do a sequel, I hope they don't wait another 10, 15 years and then, well, no Michael Keaton. I'd rather him be Beetlejuice. Not only his face, but his damn character. That's him. You know what I mean? He's Beetlejuice.
Chris Pratt for Beetlejuice.
I knew that was coming.
It's like I had to do it. Did somebody make you say that, or did you just?
No, I just said that.
Well, hey, first, why don't we
shout out to Delva78.
Well, there you go. Well, hey, first let's say hello to Yanish, Iceman Traveler, Who Dat Whale, Jake Juggalo, and I think that's everybody that's in the chat room. So thank you for joining us. I just wanted to say that before we kept going.
There's a few of them lurking. I see the numbers.
Okay. Well, go ahead.
It's how they're just like, yeah. Plotting murder over there. I think that problem with the new Freddy Krueger also was just they were trying to go for the realistic approach with the burns, and I'm like,
I didn't like that.
Yeah, I didn't like it either.
He looked like a burn victim instead of like a nightmare demon, that was burned. You know what I mean? There was a difference to that, and I did not like the burn victim look. It's like, oh, it just
and it was a damn shame too because
was the least of their problems in that film.
That's the main one
himself was, dude. Yeah. The whole movie was just plagued with all this horse shit of like, there's no build up. Everyone just buys and accepts. Okay, just don't fall asleep. We know who he is. Based on what, asshole? Yeah.
I think whoever edited the trailer should have gotten paid the most money because the trailer was actually pretty good.
And did they even alter like parts on the face in the trailer to make it look a little different compared to what you see in the movie? Weren't they even shadowing off stuff so you couldn't really get the?
I mean, probably, yeah.
Yeah, I thought there was something said about
that would make sense.
Yeah, because I don't do a lot of the research like how you and Tyler know, the directors, the writers, the behind the scenes, and all this.
I don't do a whole lot of research for pieces of shit like that.
Well, no, you know what I mean. But in general, that's the thing. I usually don't. But I remember catching that somewhere because I thought something in the trailer looked off about his face in ways I couldn't see. And then the movie came, I was like, that looks different. I thought they said they tried to edit.
Yeah, they probably weren't even done with it yet. They're like, oh, we got to get something out there.
And one quick question. I've noticed in certain angles, it's just about me in general. When I do the show sometimes, it doesn't do the zooming. But when I'm doing this, what the hell could be causing me zooming in and out constantly? Because I know it annoys people. They're not mentioning it this time, but I'm sure it'll come up. I want to prevent it from happening. I'm going nuts here.
I have no idea.
Yeah. No, it's like 1 minute you're sitting there, and it might be like when you move your hands.
Oh, that's fucking hard.
Joe, don't talk with your hands anymore. You can't do it.
I'll have to use this goddamn scarf to tie them together because that's going to be an issue. But go ahead.
Well, all right. Well, let's. When was the first time you guys watched Beetlejuice? I'm going to go ahead and admit this now. And this has nothing to do with my first time watching it, but I was never one as a kid to pay attention to opening credits and reading names and anything like that. So for a little while, I didn't know that Michael Keaton was Beetlejuice. I was like, wait, that's Batman? I didn't know that. Was that the same for you guys? And also, when was the first time you experienced watching it?
Oh, well, when it came out in 1988, I've seen it right when it came out, and I immediately knew it was Michael Keaton just because I knew him for other things. I mean, even Mr. Mom, I can't remember when the hell year Mr. Mom came out, but I knew him anyways from an actor. But that's when I seen it, and I loved it from the first time I seen it. And I'll take one of your little quotes. I had a dinger for Winona Ryder. First that movie is Lydia. Yeah, that did it for me. She was hot. She still is hot. It's still good. Great.
She's hotter than Edward Scissorhands. Like that's when I had a dinger for. It was in that. Dear God, she was beautiful in that movie.
See, I think between Winona Ryder and Christina Ricci in terms of like the 90s dark gothy characters, I sway more towards the Christina Ricci of them. I was never really attracted to Winona Ryder. I always thought, and kind of still do think, and it works really good in Stranger Things, it's just her eyes were just like really buggy and just too weird for me, I guess. I don't know.
I like them. She'll see into your soul.
No dingers on this end.
No dingers? Oh, damn. This 9 years old and whatever.
I think Gina Davis was pretty cute in the movie too, and and the receptionist and the waiting office,
the one that split her wrist. Too.
Yeah, I thought she was real pretty. When I was a kid. Like, but and I thought Catherine O'Hara was creepy as a kid. Plus, I thought she was a bitch.
Yeah,
as a kid, I'm like, God, she's so mean to Winona. What the hell's her problem? And she's jumping all over Jeffrey Jones.
And then a couple years later, she's forgetting her son at home. It's like, who does that?
Yeah. So I found her more likable in Home Alone, even though she was a bit of a bitch in that too. But she's a forgivable bitch in that movie. But I saw it right after Batman, and I remember seeing it in the video store. Didn't know what it was exactly, and then after Batman comes out, we rented it, and I mean, I was like, okay, so that's Batman. Of course, I'm waiting for Michael Keaton to show up, and my brother ended up like buying the previously viewed copy from Beyond Video, the store that this podcast is named after, for like I think $5, I think, and we had that copy of Beetlejuice for years and years and years, and we would just watch it like before school a lot, or in the afternoon, just random times. We just watched that, and it had the advertisement for the Beetlejuice soundtrack before the movie. And which was always a fun, like, because sometimes VHS back, it would advertise the soundtrack or a contest or obviously other treasures. But that was just kind of the experience of watching Beetlejuice on VHS, was always seeing that soundtrack commercial. And the cartoon came on, I think, in 1990, I think, on ABC Saturday mornings. And we watched that. And then it moved to Nickelodeon and syndication. I remember watching it religiously after that. So our Beetlejuice experience came pretty close on the back end of Batman '89. The toy line had come out too, so I remember getting Michael Keaton's Batman from Toy Biz and Michael Keaton's Beetlejuice in his maroon groomsman outfit for my 6th birthday. Which I was ecstatic to get both those figures and played with them to death. And so it was a lot of fun. I mean, it just helped leave the big impression of how much I appreciate Michael Keaton to this day because of the 2 Batman films and Beetlejuice alone.
I wish that he did conventions. Oh man.
Oh my God. I would fork over $200 cash in advance or whatever to guarantee an autograph and a picture with Michael Keaton. Even if you don't have time to actually ask him anything, just so I can say thank you for what you brought to my life. And that's
how do you think you do that? You would probably just like stare and marvel at him for however long, and he's like, all right, well, thanks. And in the picture, you're just like looking at him just like a little kid.
Yeah, and I'm like Ralphie in the Christmas store. I'm like, wait.
I mean,
it's like, wake up, stupid.
He doesn't do conventions at all. Has he ever done?
I don't think so.
People at Mad Monster actually asked if people who go to their con would be interested in someone like Michael Keaton, which would cost more. But I remember them specifically saying Michael Keaton. I'm like, are you kidding? I'd give my left nut for the opportunity to meet Michael Keaton. Just shake his hand, picture. I don't care how long the line is. I would go there and just make that the one thing I'm going to get. Because aside from like meeting Arnold and Stallone and Dolph, I mean, meeting Michael Keaton, dude. I mean, that would it can't get much more grandiose than that because of him playing Batman for me. And he's so underutilized. I feel like he's. I was glad he came back, and he's done a lot of popular movies here recently, and things like that too. But God, I still feel like he's got so much more gas in the tank to bring to Batman, and some other great stuff. And when you see him in Beetlejuice, it's a shame he didn't do, many more comedies that allowed him to really cut loose like that. Like I didn't like Multiplicity when it came out. I thought it was like you think it's going to be great, like clones of various Michael Keatons running all over the place. It just wasn't that good, and it had that pan scanning bullshit on VHS, stuff like that. But it just, you're like, God, he was so funny in just the faces he would make. One of my favorite lines in the movie is when he's sitting in the waiting room, and the girl sliced in half, smacks the hell out of him, and goes, "Hey!" And it leaps up to the other couch, and he, looking at the guy with the shrunken head with that look on his face. And hey, did you do that? Excellent work there. Hey, look at that. Go, King. You just go. And then throws down the long number on the witch doctor. Looks like I'm next. It's just God, the guy he's just pure comedy gold. I'm like, why haven't we gotten more Michael Keaton that's that damn good?
You remember that Beetlejuice when we went to Dr. Payne's? It came out.
Oh,
I thought he was pretty good.
Yeah. But I took it as like we went to this like haunted house like in like 2005 or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Tyler's trying to impress some chicks.
Yeah,
and like she brings her friend, and Tyler's like, "Oh, you should come along." And I'm like, "All right, I guess." And then I guess her whole plan was like, "Oh, well, her friend can just hang out with me, and she's like trying to touch me through the whole thing. I'm like, get off me. I think I've already said that before on the show, but man,
really?
But there was a Beetlejuice there, like to greet people, and he got out of his car and went, "Yeah." And Nathan just started mimicking that throughout the evening. It was funny because that's back when Nathan was just limber and as animated as you see.
now I'm just an old crippled man.
Well, no, because you don't dance, you don't cut loose, you just don't, boom. You're not like a sonic boom of laughter. Like Nathan doesn't, unless he gets angry about something, then it's fun. But back then, Nathan would just see something and just, all right, let's crank up the volume here and then go. And he was just doing this Beetlejuice thing, which, it didn't take much for me to laugh from him, but that was something that, we carried that on for quite a while, was that Beetlejuice impersonator. But what about the video game? Did you guys ever play like the video game for Nintendo or the Game Boy or anything like that?
No, I never played the video game.
Yeah,
what was it? Wait, I know that it's incredibly hard because I've watched other people play it, and then it's just really ridiculously stupid with how it's laid out and designed. So I think LJN published that as well, so that makes sense.
I remember seeing ads in comic books. Like I never actually none of the video stores ever had it to rent.
I remember that too. I think a lot of the comics that I own, if you look on the back, it's an advertisement for Beetlejuice.
Yeah, and that would fascinate me because you'd see pictures like you have to make the scary face. There's a scary face contest in the game, and you got to battle sandworms and stuff, and you're thinking like, oh wow, this sounds amazing, and to find out years later it was a crappy game, and which is a shame, but not all movie adaptations can be great.
Yeah, I'll have to play it. I already played the game that Janis, recommended last week, and Janis, it was interesting.
So that's basically his way of saying it was shit.
Well, hell, I guess if you pay money for it, you're going to
just say it, Joe. Just say it wasn't a good game.
It was just weird. You're picking up jewels, and you had to get to exits, and at times I was like, I don't know what I'm doing because I didn't have an instruction manual. It's through an emulator, and then
the great Joe Amato, the guy who stole that Spider-Man jacket so he could say he won that contest, needs instructions to play.
Well, this one I did because I was confused coming to this one part. I was like, do you really have to fall, or do I got to dig through a certain spot to get? I was like, what? This does not make sense. And then finally, I was looking at the bottom. I was like, let me hit select through some of these things, and they bring up different icons. And there was one icon I didn't know what the hell it was because I would throw things at people. It's like, I can't throw this. But if you got to a certain edge, clicked on that icon and hit select and then hit the button, it made a ladder go down. I was like, well, that explains it because I was just went right over my head like it does with some people. But then I played and I was like, yeah, an interesting little puzzle game from here to there, getting off levels. So it could be time consuming if you had the money back then. That's all you bought. Yeah, you'd enjoy it. So I can't say it was crappy. It was just at first confusing. In fact, I didn't even use instruction manuals. You're right. Speaking of instruction manuals, I didn't use those back then. This was the one I wanted to because I didn't know what the hell I was so lost with falling. But that was the one time it would have helped because I didn't like touching my instruction manuals because I didn't want to get them all thumb printed up. That's why I never touched them. Later on, one day I might even have another story about a contest and with an instruction manual, but I won't do that on this episode. But I'll have to try Beetlejuice then later too and let you guys know what I thought of that, because if you said it's super hard, then I'll have to see later today.
Yeah, let's see if the almighty Joe Amato can conquer
the
tough-ass games.
Yeah, but could you picture that, though, being, you don't know you're dead, and then you're stuck in this. Well, basically, it's your kind of limbo. It's your afterlife or whatever. You're stuck here, and you can't even go out the house. And you see some crazy-ass sandworm, something like it. It just that'd be a horrible thing if you couldn't. You're dead. You can't go anywhere. You're stuck. This is where you're at. You don't want these people that are moving in. You're trying to scare them out of it. And of course, throughout the movie, then yes, they all learn to live together. But it's a crazy little plot when you think about it. And the thought.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Joe.
No, I was going to say, and even the thought of Beetlejuice just wanting to be free. You say his name 3 times, he's here. 3 more times, he goes back to wherever the hell he was. But the only way that he can get out of his kind of, afterlife, purgatory, limbo, wherever he's at, is by marrying somebody in the living. He said, like a legal alien, or however he described it. So he has to marry Lydia, because I had some people at one point say, why does he want to marry this girl? It's like, no, that's part of the story. That's what gets him out, and he permanently could be out. So it's weird, but go ahead, Tyler. But yeah, interesting story.
I almost feel like, too, because when you see it as a kid, you're just fascinated by the fact that, and you feel bad for Barbara and Adam. And you just kind of you just accept everything. Like, you don't question that when Alec Baldwin steps out and he falls into this giant desert, you hear these noises and you say, like, what the hell was that? And then when they end up going back and you see that massive sandworm like coming through the sand doing, here it comes, boom. And God, you don't question why the hell is this happening. None of it.
I love that. I love the slowdown that Tyler's been getting throughout this episode. It happens at the perfect moments too. It's awesome.
It's killing my momentum when I'm hammering home here some points here, and I'm like, hey, wasn't that funny? His video stinks.
Well, I think that the premise itself is just a testament of how uncreative Hollywood is these days. Think about just that story in general, and it also just kind of makes you think as you're watching. It's like, well, what would I do if I was in this situation? Look at the recently diseased, huh?
No, that would be it's bizarre because I had dreams as a kid that sometimes I would walk outside, and when I opened the door, I walked into just nothing, and I would start falling and freak out, and then I woke up, right before I hit the ground, and I hated that. So I remember seeing that Beetlejuice walked out, and then there's this, goddamn wide open desert and shit and worms, but that always, it like took my breath away. It's weird. I'm like, actually, I haven't seen Beetlejuice in a good amount of years, but it's like memories are starting to come back, but it would like take my breath away every time I seen him open the door and go out into that. I actually hated that scene just because of that. I think the other part that always freaked me out just for seeing people was Juno, because like seeing her, I hated that throat and the smoke coming out, like she's in there smoking that came out. It creeped me out. And then years later, not getting morbid on the show, but when my aunt, God rest her soul, she was on oxygen from smoking so much, and one day she fell asleep while smoking, and it blew up her oxygen machine, and the house was on fire, and she got rushed to the...
Oh, my God.
And she got rushed to the emergency room and was in ICU for a day or two and passed away. So now anytime I see Beetlejuice and when that part comes, it's like, God, weird flashes. So, it's weird. It's weird how sometimes movies, you have these memories, ones you don't want to think of, ones that freak you out. But, I mean, it's like I said, I still love the movie, but I think those are two parts I have an issue with, is The Outside and Juno.
I don't know really how to respond to that.
I didn't mean I wasn't trying to bring the show down or nothing. I told you memories were just coming in my head, and that just came, and I guess I just had to say it out loud.
I'm gonna say this: it is kind of crazy the amount of people that fall asleep like smoking. It's strange. Like you go back and read it. There was this one interesting case of like spontaneous combustion somehow, and the similar vein of that. And I'm just like, it's weird that people.
It is.
Yeah, that's kind of nuts.
It is, and it's also kind of scary the thought of sometimes. I guess there's nothing that will stop some people. I mean, to be on oxygen and they're telling her you have to stop smoking. You can't have that. I mean, and that happens. Like Jesus. I mean, well, she loves smoking But wow, yeah. So we'll have to go. Yeah, get back into something else. I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry.
Well, no, you're good. I don't know. Let's kind of discuss, because this movie is about dying. What would you guys do in that situation if you were to pass away? And Tyler, well, we can use any of us for an example. Let's say you pass away and you can't leave your house, but here comes someone and they're wanting to like change everything. How would you feel?
I think I'd be living in hell. So if someone's going to come in here, all of my posters, my He-Man collection, all my movie stuff, all my basketball stuff, it's gone. I don't know where it's at, and I'm watching, or actually, what's even worse for them, which is if we're going to follow along the same like guidelines of what happened to Beetlejuice, is that Adam and Barbara come back home, they see their house as is, and then watching a new family move in, destroy it, and make it their own, but they leave the attic alone because, for movie purposes, they have to have a place that can kind of hide out and stuff like that. But it would be heartbreaking to think that you're stuck in your home and watching a new family come in, take away your belongings that meant so much to you, throw them out, sell them, burn them, I don't know what, and you're doomed to wander around in this house watching this other family. It's a kind of like kind of like a Twilight Zone take on the afterlife, because there's no real mention. Like they mention, like Gina Davis, are we halfway to heaven? Are we halfway to hell? Like it's kind of an ambiguous idea that all these people that have passed away due to a shark biting a diver's leg, a rattlesnake in a guy's sleeping bag, a guy chokes like what appears to be like a giant chicken bone or something like that.
I hated that part.
You know,
a football team in a plane crash, which was honestly kind of, I don't know how close that was to the actual Marshall football team plane crash, but that's kind of, I need to look that up actually.
So I took it as the football team crashed like a bus crash or something like that.
I mean, it could have been a bus, but for me, I was thinking like plane. I don't know.
Well, see, that's why I would assume like football teams typically travel by bus for the most part. And they look like they were a high school, like
maybe that's
football team. That's how I always took when I was a kid and stuff like that. But it's just kind of it's an interesting take that they kind of avoid the idea of heaven and hell and just have this fun fantasy aspect on what does the afterlife look like, and that when you enter the afterlife, what makes you wonder too, like all those people in the waiting room, were they stuck in their homes, or like, because Barbara and Adam, like they die at the bridge, but then they come home, but they don't realize how they got there. They just walk right in.
Yeah.
And yet, if they hadn't read through the book and drew the door on the brick wall and everything, it opens up this gateway to the afterlife check-in office, so to speak. And you kind of let to find out, okay, what are you supposed to do when you enter the afterlife? All those people in the waiting room, like they're there to, I guess, talk to their caseworker, almost as if like, okay, I'm dead. What do I do next? It's almost like,
they kind of leave it open to, like you said, they don't really want to say heaven and hell,
And I appreciate that. So that way you don't piss off people who are just like, you don't piss off, both sides. You don't piss off religious people, and you don't piss off atheists and stuff like that.
Exactly, that's what I figured. They don't want to upset.
Yeah, Joe, you don't want to upset anybody.
Oh yeah, I'll say that.
Well, I will say this. I don't think Warren Scarron and the other screenwriter and Tim Burton and everyone else was worried about being PC. They're not worried about that kind of bullshit back in '88.
But it was still cleverly done. It was.
But I think looking at it this way, they don't. I mean, heaven and hell is mentioned, but I think it's an interesting thing. It just has nothing to do with that, because it's more about ghosts, the life of ghosts.
Yeah, because they really don't.
It's not.
Right. They don't want to bring in religion and all that type of stuff, because, like you said, it's not really wanting to have people that believe in God or not believe in God, either or, like you said, getting upset. It's like you said, this is kind of like a waiting room of an afterlife, and I took it as like you said, maybe these people would learn that, okay, they might be going to hell or they might be going to heaven, or they might just be in this world like how Adam and Barbara, to where this is their happiness, it's their home, and they'll be there probably forever. This is their own version of, if you could say heaven, or however you want to say it. They don't want to say it, but this is where they're happy. So you can either move on to here, to there, or you'll just stay right there. You could be in your eternal.
But even that, I don't think they would. They're clearly not happy, because they're miserable because these people are coming in and messing up their house.
Well, I mean, as it went on throughout the movie, then you could see they live now with Lydia, and they live with Delia and Charles. Like, now they kind of have a happiness. They're able to have this family that's living, and with them who are ghosts, but they could still be where they always loved. They're going to still be there in their home. And to where, now he could still find out new places that opened, or pictures, so he can make more models or whatever. It's, it's like he gets to still love doing what he does. Because like you said, my God, could you imagine if you're gone, and then all this, like all my figures and everything and all my games, bam, just gone. These new people came in and just wiped me out. Yeah, I guess you would want to like scare somebody the hell out of your house, unless you were lucky enough to contact with somebody and live in some harmony. They're like, hey, we like these figures. We'll buy new figures. We'll still get the stuff you like, because you sure the hell can't leave. It was just, it's kind of a scary thought, just all of that in general. The movie, it does have things that, beyond the creatures and the shit that goes on, just the whole premise of the movie can be kind of frightening to think about.
Well, I think, too, emphasizing the fact this is about the life of ghosts. This is not about, what heaven is like and what hell is like. It's, if you really stop and think about it, excuse me, like this is like the lifestyle. Because if we're it's like in Ghostbusters too. Like, you're accepting that in this world, ghosts are among us. Like, what, and that's when you're like, okay, what do ghosts go through? If they're not passing on to a heaven and hell scenario here. We're going to focus on the lifestyle of a ghost. Like they have a check-in office. They have a caseworker to help them deal with their situation. Like it's a fascinating look of like the day-to-day life of what an actual ghost would go through.
I want to say one of my favorite things at that office is the guy that's going around basically sort of delivering the mail, and he's just like hanging and just like swinging. That's one of my my favorite things. But speaking of ghosts too, have you guys had an experience or thought you had an experience with a ghost, or thought you may have seen one? Anything weird ever happened to you?
I've had a dream ever since I was a kid, and it still happens. I hate falling asleep on my back, because when I fall asleep on my back, it seems like I always have this dream that I cannot move, and I feel like there's somebody like touching my chest, and I know that I'm dreaming, but sometimes you ever have a dream that you think you're awake, but you're dreaming, you know, and I'll have it. I'm always waking up, and my eyes are open. I think I'm in my room, and I can't move, and it feels cold, but this is just, it's obviously it's your mind. It's not like a ghost is on me. But the one time something happened was I was waking up, and then it was the first time it looked like a shadowy character. But of course, it's obviously it was a dream, and it was like touching me on my chest, and it spoke. It says, "You can't breathe. You cannot move." But it spoke to me in a weird voice. And then the veil moved, and I seen my face. It was like me looking at me, but I was looking at myself. So obviously it was a dream, but I don't think any ghost, but it sure, I hate it. I hate falling asleep and feeling like somebody is touching me, and it feels cold, but I know it's just me dreaming.
Are you sure?
Well, I sure the hell would hope so.
But no, the version that when you saw yourself, was yourself wearing a mask too?
No, it was completely dark. That's what's weird. It was the first time I seen whatever it was that I felt cold, and it was just a complete shadow. And then like the shadow moved, and all I could see was the face, and it was my face that said, "You cannot breathe, you cannot move." And that was it. So, yeah, that's my only thing is I've seen myself, but I've always, and I still have this damn dream where somebody's touching me.
How often does that happen?
At least once every 2 weeks, and if it passes from that, at least once a month, but it has been...
Wow, okay.
And that's why I try to, when I go to sleep, I grab my pillow like this, and I lay right on my face and on my stomach, and I hold it. Because I always hate the thought of I'm going to roll over on my back. And sure as shit, if I ever roll over and I'm on my back, that damn dream comes every time.
That's spooky.
I mean, you got
I dare you to sleep on your back tonight. I'll give you a quarter if you do.
No, I'm not kidding. I hate it. I hate it because it gets so cold and chills, and I'm trying to move, and it's like, you know, I don't know if you ever had that dream where you can't move and you're like struggling to move your hand. No? Oh, I hate that fucking
No.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's me. That's my damn experience.
Tyler, what about your experiences with the supernatural?
I don't think I've really had any other than something that I can remember when I was before my brother was born. I'll never be able to know if it was a dream or if it was some experience that I still remember it to this day. But all I can remember is living in our old house, which is probably about a couple blocks from where I'm living right now. And my mom's down in the basement doing laundry, and I'm real little, and I come to the top of the steps and realizing how dangerous it is to go down those stairs. And just remember trying to go down the steps, but floating down to the bottom of the steps and getting down to the floor. And my mom looks at me and you know, says, "Hey, Tyler, how'd you get down here?" And that's all I remember about it. But it has stuck with me since we lived in that house. And I've never been able to figure out if that was some weird dream that it just has never left my subconscious, or was just some very odd experience that I have no idea. But that's probably my oldest odd memory. Other than that, no. I've never
You ever
had
ask
anything.
your mom? You ever ask your mom if she remembers something like you going down the steps and her saying, "How did you get down here?"
I want to say I think I addressed that maybe when I was young, and she just didn't know what I was talking about. Like when I was in elementary school, and like trying to, because that's how it was so vivid, and I remembered it so vividly, even back then, and it just seemed like what I would revisit it in my mind, like that whole scenario. But I don't think she had any recollection of something like that, because a lot of the stuff that I mean, most of my parents don't remember. Like I remember so much in that house. Like they remember a couple of moments and stuff like that too. But I mean, a lot of stuff they don't really remember, but sometimes some stuff they do. But my mom, I don't think any recollection of that. Other than that, no. I think first thing that comes to mind is trying to take Nathan to this abandoned house down the road.
Yeah,
that we and it,
What's that like?
which
Tell the story.
that was actually, well, we didn't make it. I went to it previously with my brother and the girl I was dating and one of her friends, because my brother had told me one of his friends, it was a house down the road from where my family's house is at the lake. It was an abandoned house that him and his buddy went into, and he told us about it. And so we all decided, like, I think like 2 nights later, we were all going to get together around 9:00 and drive down to this house and go in it. And we did. And it was like walking into an abandoned Leatherface house / Blair Witch Project, because we walk in, the grass is real high in the front lawn. It clearly looks like it's about ready to be condemned. There's no houses around it. There's no lights on anywhere. We had to use the lights on our cell phones. And we walk in and we walk into the living room and the kitchen, and there are notebooks and things left by children on this table that it's like whoever was here last was just up and gone. And we saw pictures, and we saw like old things of like oatmeal canisters and stuff, and just walking around this abandoned house. Knowing the full fact that we're walking around in this house, we don't know if anybody's in this house. It looked like Leatherface could have just opened up a door and revved up the chainsaw. And then we had the nerve to go down to the damn cellar. And the cellar looked like the ending of the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
And that damn, like, we actually walked down the steps, and the steps are not solid. Like, someone could easily be hiding underneath those steps and grab you by the ankle. And it's all concrete down there. There's just nothing but junk down there. I was waiting to see some guy standing in the corner and just, not acknowledging us.
And who would have been the first to run, Tyler or Nathan, and who would have shoved the other to the side? If you would have seen somebody, who would have been the one that ran and said, fuck, they come and go?
I think Nathan probably would have ran, because I led the way. When we went down there, like, I think my brother kind of like showed us what was here. But when we went down in the cellar, like, I'm there with my girlfriend, like, I got to be like Indiana Jones here.
That's the only reason he was so like, look at me. Oh.
Well, hey, believe me, I was scared shitless too, because it was a very scary thing to do. But when I talked Nathan into going, I'm talking about it as we're getting down the road, and I think Nathan's like, "Oh, I think his stomach started hurting," because I was really building it up, because I was scaring myself.
Yeah, then that was the whole thing. We're in the car and he's talking about it, and I'm like, "Shit, man, I don't know." He's like, "Yeah, I don't think I want to do this again." And we just turn around and.
But it turns out when we went down, the house had been torn down. Like because we couldn't find it, and I think it was just a blessing in disguise. So by that point, we did not get to make it because the house was no longer there. So, but it was definitely a scary experience, and it's a shame Nathan missed out on it, because looking back, I can't believe we did that. God, it was just it was such a dangerous thing to do.
And I don't think
it was like right out
first.
of a horror movie.
I wouldn't have ran first. It would have been Tyler. If there wouldn't have been a girl there, he would have been the girl. He would have been screaming, and he would have been.
Hell, he could have did it with her. He would have grabbed her like, "I'm out of here, bitch," and threw her to the side.
Are you kidding? Shoot. I've always been the victim of, like, people are going to throw me under the bus, So believe me, Nathan would have, I'm sure my brother would have probably said, I would have like left him for the dogs. So therefore, I would have like tripped Nathan, so that way whatever monster's coming after us is going to grab him, which would give me time to get the hell out of the house, get in the car, and just say, "There's no time." And just take off down the road like Milhouse in The Simpsons or something like that.
All right. Well, my story was about 3 years ago, and I know this wasn't a dream at all. I'm in my bedroom. I'm asleep. I think I wake up probably about 4:00 in the morning. Something woke me up. I don't know what it was, because my TV had been turned off. As I set the timer for it to shut off and everything, and I have a clock on my nightstand that's sort of bright enough to illuminate the room just enough to where you can see things once your eyes start to focus. And I woke up and I sit up. I don't know why. I sit up, and the way the room is set up, the bed's up against the wall, so I can like look out into the room, and like the door's over here, and then I got my closets in front of me. So I wake up and I look, and there's just a shadow just standing right there, looking at me. Just a shadow. I was like, huh, okay. And just laid back down and went to sleep.
Oh, the shit. That would have been it.
You're like the parents at the beginning of Halloween when they see Michael, Karen, and I for like, huh. Like,
no, yeah, I mean,
it
that's
doesn't
really,
phase you at all. It just
that's really how it was. I just looked at him like, okay, and just laid back down. But thinking about it,
Nathan with his Beekman World hairdo, like, because when Nathan sleeps, like his hair sticks up like Beekman from Beekman's World. So Nathan just kind of flopping up, craving some Cheerios, and just flops his head back down to the pillow.
Jesus. Yeah, the other, like I said, I think I mentioned before on the podcast, and your head, when you're a kid, I think, obviously the imagination runs wild. I told you there was always that one. It was called a Cherry Annex, and it was by our one grade school we went to, but it was in the back. But it was, again, nobody was in there. It was like not occupied for 5 years, and throughout the neighborhood, kids always love saying, if you go up to that one shadowed off the window and just look in there, there's going to be a guy that appears. And nobody ever wanted to do it, but we all, like 5 of us kids would go up there and start looking at him. I'd look, and I was looking at that window and staring, and suddenly I've already seen a shadow appear and get closer. I say, he's fucking here! And I just bolted out there, all running behind me, but I know it's mental. It's like, it had to be mental. There's no way I seen an actual person. I think just imagination it starts running wild. Because you never know what the hell your mind's doing. It's like, the other thing is, I told you, I remember sleepwalking. When I was a kid, I hated ever going downstairs in the middle of the night. If nobody's down there and it's like, in the middle of the night, it's pitch black. I mean, I was just frightened of being in the darkness and alone. But I vividly remember grabbing my one blanket, putting it over my shoulder, walking out of my room, walking down the stairs, laying down in the middle of the floor, and just laid down to go to sleep. And then I woke up and realized where I was, and I screamed and ran up the stairs. But I remembered sleepwalking. I was like, there's no way I would have did that under my free will of ever walking downstairs like that. So that's another thing with the mind. It's like the sleepwalking thing was weird, but the craziest thing was these the shelves that are in back of me. I had some other shelves at the one place I lived at before here that were more homemade, and it would go from, like how you see the one shelf and something going across, I'd have boards, which in fact, they're the ones over there that I never show. It was obviously it was middle of the night back at the old house, and suddenly I heard the loudest scream. It said, "Oh God, help me, please, somebody help!" And it was just doing this screaming, and it hit the Halloween theme. But as she's screaming, I remember it was close to me. I flipped over out of bed, slammed into my shelves, knocked all my fingers there, all falling out of me. I mean, I just freaked the hell out of bed. My dad came running, pulling the door. What the hell is going on? I was like, I just fell out of bed. I don't know. I heard screaming. What happened was I had that giant 18-inch Michael Myers from NECA, and it was sound activated and motion activated from a light. But I always had it in a position to where it would never go off. Certain angle of a semi must have went by, came through the blinds, hit that sensor, and it's, like I said, it has Jamie Lee Curtis scream first real loud, and then it goes into the theme. But all I heard was screaming, freaked me the hell out, fell out the bed, slammed through my shelves, knocked all my figures down, and from that day forward, I took out the batteries and never used that feature on that giant Michael Myers. It was a bad day.
Joe, I'm starting to think that between your sleep paralysis and going down the stairs and laying in the floor, I think that a demon is trying to possess you. I think maybe they're attracted to you in your mask. I think that's what it is.
I've always loved scaring. I've always loved scaring people, and Halloween's always been my favorite holiday. And I used to always have my older brother. He would always try to scare me, and then if we go down the basement, he would run up the basement real quick, and he would shut the door and turn off the lights and hold the door so I couldn't get out. So I used to have bad dreams about being stuck in the basement. I had dreams that a witch would sometimes fly down the stairs on a broom to chase me because I hated that fucking Wicked Witch from The Wizard of Oz.
Dude, now that's a movie we're going to have to talk about at some point too, man. Oh, my God.
Her. Oh, God, that music. When it hit and just scared the shit out of me. So all that stuff would build up and go on my dreams. And the most bizarre thing is, though, I've never had nightmares about Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger. You'd think that would be it. But no, I'm having nightmares about the damn Wicked Witch. And the Incredible.
Hey, there's nothing to downplay about Margaret Hamilton as the Wicked Witch. That woman still to this day is the scariest female to ever cross the silver screen. There has not been another female performance that I can think of. I mean, there's been some scary women in movies before, but there's still to this day, I will always hold Margaret Hamilton as the scariest female performance of any movie to this day, because Jesus Christ, man. That Wicked Witch with her laugh and her look and her malice and the green skin and just the way, like, the stuff they gave her in that movie of, like, mocking Judy Garland, saying, "Help me, Auntie Anne, come back," and that crystal ball, and then looks at the camera, like, looks at you and, like, laughs with the most.
Took me years to watch that alone, God. I think. I mean, as a kid, it just freaked me the hell out.
What a bunch of weenies.
He's like, what a bunch of fucking.
Oh, that's right. We got Nathan. Nathan's the smart mark. You know, not only Nathan was denouncing the poor booking of WCW in '89 and '90, it was also immune to anything horror related too, right?
Oh no, Freddy Krueger scared the shit out of me as a kid, but Wicked Witch, no, she didn't bother me as a kid. I wasn't afraid.
I was so glad to see, like, when Bravo did, like, their 100 scariest, like, horror movie / moments, and the Wicked Witch of the West made, like, it was, like, up there in that list of like, you know, high ranking, like, scary characters and moments and stuff like that. Because it was just not to the point where I was Freddy, like, she scared me not as much as Freddy Krueger, to where I'm like, I was fighting my parents about going to bed and being afraid to sleep, you know, on my own and wanting to sleep in their bed, stuff like that. But the Wicked Witch was like, yeah, it was. But I love watching, like, her on screen, her castle. Joe, am I boring you here?
No, my thing popped out of my ear. It's like, out of all the times you were talking about, I'm trying to get it back in because I use earbuds now.
Joe's kind of leaning over like, oh my God, this guy just won't shut up here.
No, I had to get the earbud out. But you know what's even funnier about when you talk about the Wicked Witch, again, as things as kids, there was one street down from our house, there was this old lady that lived in there, and there were kids that were mean. Like, they would purposely ride by our house and make loud noise and slam stuff, and I never caused trouble like that. Like, I would ride my bike, or at the time, big wheel, because I told you I always ripped my chest open with a big wheel, but I'd ride my big wheel on the other side of the street.
Are you talking about little Joe Amato on, like, that big wheel trike, and you're kind of like Danny Torrance in The Shining, but you're riding down the streets of Little Parts Unknown?
Yes, and I told you I could do 2 wheels on it, which led to my chest getting ripped open one day. But, well, that's another story. But so I'm riding the big wheel on the other side.
It's like Pee-wee and Pee-wee's Big Adventure going to, like, that big sign outside the biker bar. Like, I'm picturing happened to Joe.
but so I'm going down the street, and I remember her yelling at me, like, get away from my house, because she would scream. And so I always thought she was a real scary old woman, or like a witch. And I always tried to avoid riding my big wheel by her house. I remember I would even ride, and I knew when I'd get even across the street from her house, I would pick up my big wheel and walk past it, and then start riding again. And then
so you get off the actual mobile vehicle and take a slower means of transportation to get past.
Just walk past her house, because she scared me that much, until the day I went outside, and my mom's in the side yard to the house with that lady. And she said, Joe, come here. And I was shaking, just physically shaking. Like, you know, I thought I was in trouble. Plus, I was like, that's that witch, or the scary woman.
This sounds like an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark or something.
Yeah.
She's like, this is Mrs., you know, like, whatever the hell her name is, because I can't remember. It was so long ago. But I remember she introduced, and then the lady was talking, and she told my mom, and she was so nice and quiet and peaceful when she was with my mom talking, and then even saying hi to me. And then she says, my son Joe, and, like, trying to introduce. And then I think she realized who I was, and then she never yelled at me again. But it just shows that, man, when you're a kid and everybody is labeling somebody as being mean, and then you're getting yelled at that person, you think it is a scary person. And I remember it was the first time like I said, seen her speak, and she was nice. And what a weird change of impressions that happened there.
It's like the characters in Home Alone.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah. Like the pigeon lady, or the man saw salsa in the sidewalks who looked like my granddaddy.
Yeah, I guess things like that can. I mean, obviously, you know, based on some kind of reality, you don't realize that you experienced some of this stuff. But yeah, I'll say one thing.
Did those other kids start disappearing gradually over time?
No, they were still just as you know.
That would have made your story better, Joe.
It would have, like, they were gone, and it was just Joe that was left. But
it's hard to picture Joe telling any stuff, and he's still wearing that mask, even as a kid. Like, everything Joe is telling us in flashback form, all involves like Joe wearing the mask on his little trike, or he's going to the video store, or he's going to McDonald's, or whatever he's doing, that mask is always prominent. Like no matter what story, it's just fun to envision that red face
eating
in every flashback
sandwiches
of Joe's.
and their Doritos.
That's right, always there.
Stealing Shivers from girls down the street and all kinds of stuff like that too. So
she was right across from over there. I gave it back to her though. I've got her a new one. I gave it to her. So
are you still wearing the mask at that point there too? Just
damn close, yeah. But I want to say one thing because when we had that thing about avoiding heaven, hell, and all that stuff, and how the movie was, and Nathan brought up something like, "Yeah, Joe, you don't want to be getting touchy with anything with religion and stuff." Now I might as well say it real quick on my Facebook wall the other day. Well, somebody first tagged me. People like tagging me in Masters of the Universe related pictures and He-Man stuff, and somebody tagged me in this picture of Evil Lynn like being Mary, Beastman being little baby Jesus, and Skeletor being Joseph. This person,
I would have much rather seen a Christmas special of that based on that shitty She-Ra trailer.
Which will eventually, maybe tonight or.
I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, because that'll be interesting. But so they tagged me, and I was like I said, I go to church, but like I said, I'm not one of these people that go spewing religion to everybody. If you don't believe, you don't believe, and if you do, you do. But I'm not.
Imagine Joe going from door to door trying to preach the good word, wearing his mask there, and asking for donations and stuff like that. I'm here to tell you about the good word. And he looks like a demon of hell.
Yeah. But again, I don't judge anybody who does or does not believe in anything. We all have our own beliefs. I mean, I have friends that don't believe, people that are atheists, and I'm friends with everybody. I don't care what anybody believes in race and religion and nothing. It's irrelevant. So somebody showed that picture, and I got a kick out of it. I thought, well, that's funny, and I was like, hey man, I'm gonna share that on my wall. Shared it on my wall, and the person who created it, I didn't even know who he was, and I didn't know his name, but building up to that, so I put it on my wall, and that thing, it just exploded with the amount of likes and comments because it had. Like right now, it has over 447 likes, has 60 shares, 78 comments, but one particular comment went nuts.
Yeah,
it's the burrito bomb of August 2018 again, man.
It's right. This guy named Mariano Martino, he just out of nowhere said, "I think fuck you asshole! How could you post this kind of stuff? It's sacrilegious." He's like, "I'm a Christian, and you shouldn't be doing this." And I always try to take the high road and be cool. And I was like, it was just a picture that somebody tagged me in. I shared it, thought they get a kick out of it. Oh, you shouldn't be doing that because it's about religion. Then I said, are you telling me to fuck off? Or are you telling the person who created it? Because you know me, I usually like knowing first. Because if it was me, it's wrong to attack either of us. But I'm like, I wonder why would you be attacking me when I'm just showing a picture? Well, after that guy did it, here came the people, as you see, Nathan.
Man, that got me through the rest of my shift at work. I'm like, they fucking roasted that guy.
They roasted. I was like, you just stepped in the lion's den. People should, he should know by now. That's all I post is Masters of the Universe stuff. And people love these things. And when you
plus you don't attack the cult leader of Amato. Like that's just the guy.
Exactly. It's like, you know how treasured this man is.
So, somebody said that in a joking way. They said, "Just attack Joe Amato." They said that's and I forgot how he did a reference. It was like, you don't be attacking, but it was cool to see everybody come to my defense, and I thank everybody for doing that. It was really nice. But they destroyed that guy so much that guy unfriended me. And the guy never apologized to me to nothing. But then it also led to the guy who created that cool little custom. He contacted me. Because like I said, I didn't know the guy. He just popped up one day. There was a friend request. And then there was the messages from him. His name's John Norwood, by the way. He's just gotten into customs. And he did that. And, he wanted to say, thanks. And, he just he couldn't believe all the response and positivity that post got. But also he knew that insane guy who went nuts, who... Yeah, that guy, he buried himself. Like, why did you even do that? I was still cool with him. And nowhere during my post did I ever say anything still negative.
No, because, Joe, you do realize you don't have to raise a finger. All you have to do is it's like you're Robert De Niro in Casino, and that guy tells you to take that pin and shove it up your ass, and here comes your followers of Joe Pesci's, and just start stabbing the guy in the neck with the pin. And Robert De Niro doesn't have to say a damn word. And it's like, would you just... they start kicking the guy and everything. Like that's Joe Amato. Like Joe is the ace of the He-Man universe.
Let's break this down even further. 1, Italian. 2, kind of hides in the shadows. 3, he's a mob leader.
Yeah, Joe is the godfather of the He-Man fan community.
Oh, Jesus.
The guy really is. Like, he can just establish, like, social media mob hits. Doesn't he have to say anything? It's like he's got his hitmen who are just like, they're like, it's like in God is like, just give me a name, Joe. Oh, you don't have to do this. Like, just give me a name. His name is Antonio or something like that. And next thing you know, like, the guy's gone off social media. Like, they made him disappear. I mean, it's Joe really just needs to be holding like a fluffy stuffed cat in his arms when he's doing podcasts and stuff like that too, you know?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to try to keep him
God, do you ever stop and realize just the kind of power you have in social media? Like, Joe, I think it's almost like it's a charade of him trying to be humble. Because really, we all know Joe wakes up each day like, God, I'm powerful. Like, it's like he's wearing that scarf around his neck, like he's going out like a man about town, like a New York socialite, like Bill Murray in Scrooge. You know,
well, it's not really, like I said, like that. It's just I've always, like you've seen, I've always just posted about He-Man stuff. I always like try to keep He-Man live and do fun, and people like the
plus
pictures.
Anybody that's going to get, I thought it was, and most people who put together like mockery stuff about He-Man, it's not funny, it's not cute, it's just silly and stupid. I'm like, get the shit out of my way. I did think that was just, it was amusing. I thought it was fun. However, I did not see the onslaught that came after that. So I'm glad to know that someone that decided to take something that was meant in fun and good nature and decides to say it was, you know, it's people like that keep this whole PC bullshit and saying everyone's offended by this and upset about that, and you can't do this and you can't do that.
That's definitely one person that regretted probably having said something, because his notifications talk about the blink, blink, blink on your phones. It was nonstop. I mean, I got a ton of messages from people just saying that. Like,
and Joe just sits back with like a cup of Kool-Aid in a straw and tries to sip it, and then realizes he can't because he's got the mask on, and then sets it down, like holds his head. But then, like, leans back and realizes life is good, knee high and living large.
But that's the time where I told you I always have my Facebook on when I'm painting and sculpting.
Of course you do. That's probably like music to your ears when you hear that.
Well, I actually had to mute at that time. I was like, this is going insane. It's not stopping. It was going for days. Like, it still even continued into today. And my sister, who rarely ever comments on some of my posts, she did. And then I messaged her. I was like, you're probably going to regret commenting on that because it's not going to stop. And then sure enough, she's getting all the link. But yeah, it's, I don't know. It's a shame that people, like you said, can't just find some humor in something it was never meant to be malicious. Hell, we've seen The Simpsons, so many other cartoons, so many other properties just do things where it's like inspired. They're not mocking anything.
And that's clearly someone who just, that's like assuming that, you know, Jesus would never laugh at a joke. God never laughs at a joke, or whatever it is that you may believe in, Muhammad, whatever the case may be. That's assuming that you know, whatever. If you believe in a creator, so to speak, we're created in their image. You're saying they don't laugh at stuff, so
right. Yeah, because somebody did that. They took a little Buddha and they put a Skeletor face where Buddha was, and somebody molded that out and was selling those, and somebody might have got offended, but most people understand it's not like they were trying to be mean and mockery and just putting people's faiths down. It was just fun. Yeah. But yeah, so that was the quick side rant. But yeah, that went nuts.
Quick. Man, I don't even think we talked about Beetlejuice in like the last half hour.
Well, listen, we were talking about Beetlejuice. Yeah, go ahead back to that, because we were kind of...
I do want to ask you guys more about the stuff that scared you the most, because, I mean, to me, the movie was a film that did have a lot of creepy moments. Like, hell, I always thought the opening music, when you're seeing the Geffen Company logo turn around, and it's, you know, Danny Elfman scores.
I can't do it.
No, I did watch it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but I just thought that was creepy because of Danny Elfman's score building up. I just thought it was just a creepy opening as a kid. When Juno's telling Barbara and Adam about Beetlejuice, like, I didn't want to bring it up, but I'll tell you about him. And then, like, there's like this orange light that kind of shines on their faces, and this kind of like low music. I always thought that was creepy as a kid, like the building up the legend of Beetlejuice. Like, not that Beetlejuice was scary, but just this ghost story that she's telling. You're like, ooh, man, it was scary. And I give a lot of credit to Danny Elfman's score in the movie, because, I mean, there's a lot of fun horror music in the movie, but, I mean, there's some moments where like it made it quite scary. Thanks to the music.
You're right. Oh, music always helps. It definitely does. especially if it's dark and you're alone, and sometimes it really draws you into the film, and you do get creeped out. You get those, cold goosebumps, and you're listening to it and watching the parts that freak you out. I think I mentioned the ones basically though, from the snake to the one with throat, the skeletons.
What about when they open up the curtain and the death for the dead, like all the ghosts that have been exorcised? Like I thought that was a creepy image.
No, there were. Like I said, that was creepy. The part where they're just decaying and falling apart at the end. The one part I remember that didn't scare me, and I think that was purposely not supposed to, because when they were distorting their faces, doing that crazy stuff, it looked, in a way, even when I was a kid, I thought it looked more silly than scary, and I think that was intentional. I was never. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, these guys are.
Yeah.
What the hell are those, anyways?
I'm trying to remember.
The customs.
I'm trying to remember who put these out.
I mean, are those mini mates or something else? I can't.
Yeah. It's. I want to say it's from that line, but they're bigger than the regular mini mates.
I can't even know they made it. I thought they looked bigger. That's why. But I thought the body style looked mini mates. No, that was cool. But yeah, that thing. That never scared me. It just looked goofy to me. But you remember, they don't know what they're doing. They're trying to figure ways to look scary. So I found it just ironic. The thing that where they're trying to look scary really wasn't, but then the other things just kind of were. So Beetlejuice.
Or even when they were trying, I almost felt like when they were trying to scare the Dietzes, when Gina Davis pulls her face off and the eyes come burst, like, Jesus Christ. And she's standing there like with Adam Baldwin's head, and they're like, deliver me from LL Bean.
I know what I didn't like. I didn't like the damn shrimp when it turned into a hand and grabbed the ball when they were doing the banana.
As a kid.
Yeah, that I hated when that jumped up, because that I loved me some shrimp. Me and food. So when I seen that just it spooked me out for a while. For when I'd eat shrimp, I always thought of them when they're singing the Banana Boat song and that thing grabbed.
Which I never liked that song though. Like that was probably the only thing I never cared for as a kid, and still I just don't like any kind of singing and dancing in movies, except Wizard of Oz. I'm fine with that. And not that it's done to be silly, but it's just such a, I never liked that song, and I just never enjoyed that sequence as a kid until the shrimp come out,
Yeah, but that's what's bizarre is I've never been into them damn singing parts in any movies either. But for whatever reason, for me, that part worked, because they're all getting, they're all basically possessed with, having that. And that kind of it wasn't spooky, but I got it, and it didn't annoy me, because anytime a movie comes on and hit the singing part, my brain shuts down, or I'm like, okay, is this going to be over? Oh, let's get back to the movie. Like when you were talking about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I want to think about Willy Wonka. Even though loving the movie, I hate the parts like when Charlie's mom is singing "Cheer Up, Charlie." I'm like, just fucking, why did they put this in the movie? And there was a couple other parts I hated, but yeah. I wasn't a fan of singing parts, but that it fit the tone of the movie. I understood what they were doing. So
I won't argue that. I think it's because I just don't like the song. And it does make sense, because the movie, you go on this ride, you don't question anything, And I guess if you're doing a question, do you think this is going to scare them out of the house? But I guess maybe they're building up to the shrimp coming alive, but obviously it doesn't work.
That was gross. It reminds me of the scene where you think about in It, when they were all, remember, in the original, it's sitting around at the Chinese restaurant. Remember, all the shit that was coming out of the fortune cookies. Ugh, gross.
I found it more creepier when she thinks she's talking to the old lady, and she sees blood in the teacup.
Oh,
and the lady's teeth start turning nastier gradually. Like, oh my god! And it looks. Yeah.
You knew something was up with that, because when she was sipping the tea,
she's slurping it.
Ugh. And then the Shona, I fucking hated that part.
It turns to her father, and then her father chases after. Can't go anywhere, no baby. Like,
Yeah. Goddamn, now we went to It. Go ahead, Nathan. Back to you.
No, I was going to say, I think the parts that scared me in Beetlejuice the most as a kid is there at the end when he's sort of taking care of, when he turns in and his arms extend out.
Turn into big hammers.
Yep, and they go through there, and then when the sculptures come alive and pins her, and the visuals of that scared me a lot. In addition to the worm scene, were the two that really stuck out to me as a kid. But other than that, it was kind of most of those other scenes were things where, as a kid, I'm like nervous about it, but I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool.
You're fascinated by it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely for sure.
I think if you're gonna, I'm sure my brother, I'm sure will think about it at some point because he's still a fan of Beetlejuice, like showing my nephew or what kids, because I feel like, because as kids growing up, you are naturally interested by horror. Like you're scared, but you're like Nathan said, you're nervous about it, but you're still drawn to it. I feel like Beetlejuice and Ghostbusters are two examples that have got scary stuff in it that for some certain kids might creep you out. Like I thought the sandworm was fascinating. It was creepy. It made you nervous, but I was never like completely frightened by it. You're more like in awe of this snake you see coming through the sand, and here it comes. But I almost feel like that's a nice gateway of introducing stuff like that to children outside of like classic fairy tales where they don't end that well or they've got creepy stuff in it. It's a fun kind of horror themed comedy that's I think would be suitable for kids because obviously they saw that it probably resonated with children. I mean,
well, yeah, because they turned it into an animated series and sold toys.
Yeah,
it's like
which I want to ask you guys about the toys, because the toys to me I think is a heavily overlooked toy line because it's very reminiscent of Ghostbusters almost. With
I had the sort of like the bed that you like put the
crypt.
Yeah, the crypt.
I had that too. Yeah,
it was so cool. Awesome. I remember as a kid, like just trying to figure out how it was doing what it did.
Because it would shrink from like normal size Beetlejuice to the small version by pulling the sign that's in the movie, that like the flashing light sign Beetlejuice down here was on the coffin. You'd pull the coffin switch, and it would turn into small Beetlejuice. Like, this is so cool. How does it do it, man? I remember seeing the commercial for it and everything.
That sounds cool, but that was just at the time when I was just done with toys.
That's right. Joe's trying to pick up chicks and stealing their belongings. So
it's true, but that is when I stopped with the toys. I was more games and girls. You know what's funny is when you talk back about Beetlejuice and the other part that scared me, and I always mention that snake. I think why it scared me a lot also was it reminded me of Nightmare on Elm Street 3 when Freddy was eating Kristen. It was the same thing when he turned into that big snake and then started, swallowing and he was eating her. And so when I seen Beetlejuice, it gave me that Freddy vibe of him as a snake. So I think that's why that creeped me out even more, was it gave me thoughts of Freddy, because I couldn't remember which one you might have seen first, if you've seen Elm Street 3 first.
I definitely saw Beetlejuice first.
Yeah, same here. Same here. I stayed away from Nightmare on Elm Street films for a long time.
Oh, okay. Because I remember.
I've seen the picture of Freddy, because on the back of the Dream Warriors VHS box, you see Kristen being eaten by Freddy.
Yeah.
Which that image alone was like, oh my god. So no, Beetlejuice definitely. It just never. There was never like a link to those.
Well, I guess that's why it did freak me out more, is because I went right from seeing Elm Street 3 in '87 to '88 with Beetlejuice, and it went from one snake to another, and I got that Nightmare on Elm Street vibe. So that's why he freaked me out so much as a snake.
Well, that's honestly why the horror genre is my favorite out of all of them, because like Tyler said, as a kid, even though I didn't watch them, I was still intrigued by them. And the ones that I did see, while they scared me, it just that feeling, that euphoria that it gave you of just being scared and then like coming down from that is just something that always stuck with me. Like, yeah, I watch all this stuff now and none of it really bothers me. There's times in certain films where I'll get kind of chills, but other than that, it's not a thing where I get scared anymore, but that's why it's my favorite genre. Just that it stuck with me.
I can understand that. I always loved being scared and scaring people. And you're right, it's kind of hard to get creeped out. I'm glad that's why when that, the new It that came out, I can admit there was parts that was still freaky.
Yeah.
And I like that. I miss that. I hate that I can't get that creeped out feeling no more. And I don't think
I still am, because certain movies just have scarred, like watching It, when we just described like the creepy old lady, like slurping in her teeth, like, it doesn't like give me nightmares or anything like that, but it's still like it's a striking scene of this gradual build-up that you realize you're not, and then come to find out the house is condemned and everything. You're like, how the hell did that happen?
Kind of thing. And Tyler still can't watch Nightmare on Elm Street at night.
Yeah, I still can't, and I won't. I own it. I not only do I own the film, but I'm saying I own the fact that it does creep the shit out of me. That they're the way that Freddy is lit in that movie. It's just that, and that's why the sequels are not scary, because they don't light Freddy and his makeup is completely different, and gradually gets more like chewed up bubblegum all over his face as opposed
rubber
to
face. Yeah, I couldn't stand it. It doesn't look wet. It looks dry.
Well, Tyler, think about a couple years ago at my place.
Oh, I remember.
Well, no, I'm saying like you weren't there. It was like 3:00 in the morning. I put on headphones because I had the wireless PS4 headphones popped into Blu-ray of Nightmare on Elm Street at 3 a.m. and watched the entire movie. I almost fell asleep at one point. Not out of boredom. Yeah, not out of boredom or anything. I was just really tired. But that was certainly. I would recommend that to you, Tyler, if you could find a way to watch that movie with headphones, because there's just certain things that you hear that I don't ever remember hearing anytime without them. So,
why does the hall monitor sound even more creepier through the headphones?
Yeah, you know what? That's what we should do. I should come over to your place and be like, you know what? We're watching Nightmare on Elm Street at night.
That's the only time you can watch those movies, and to try to recreate being spooked out. I remember. It took a long time for Friday the 13th Part 2. It took years until I could watch it by myself. And even still, watching it when it's dark could get me. It's the part towards the end when Jenny is running from Jason. Yeah, and when she sees through the window. And every time I saw bitch, he's running. I hate that fucking part. Seeing him run up to his house and she sees him through the window, it looks scarier and shit. That's the one part out of all the Friday the 13th that gets me every time. Now I want to try to do that tonight, but it'd have to be after the podcast that we do at 9 o'clock, Fans of Power, live here, 9 p.m., right here on YouTube. Fans of Power. Make sure
there you go. Link down below. Subscribe and ring the bell so you can get notified when they do go live tonight.
Exactly. We'll see what's going on tonight. Not sure if we're going to have a guest. We won't spoil anything. I'm not sure if there'll be a guest or just me and Tyler. But we'll make it entertaining like we always do. Just like this one.
Talking about random things, I feel like once again I should probably put like a backslash and just be like spooky stories or something. I don't know.
Never stick with just one thing we say. He doesn't want me to say his name, but I wanted to thank somebody. I have a customer that I made some figures for, and he sent this to me as just a cool little gift. I expected, but I didn't know.
Wait a second here.
Oh, hey.
Well, you hold on right now.
Can I finish? He doesn't. He's a customer, so I send stuff. So he has my.
Care.
I didn't expect
you accepted a gift.
Well, it was it already was here. I couldn't say no.
Really? And how did it get there?
Well, he has my address because I sent.
Why does it have your address?
Because he buys customs for me, so I send it to him. He knows my address. That's how he did it. So he just surprised me. So thank you.
So that's the key. We have to get a custom. You have to
buy shit from Joe to give him something for free.
Well, unexpected. It was just in the mail.
What a quintessential Italian mob boss you are.
It didn't.
You dupe people out of money, and then if they give you money, they're allowed to give you something for free.
Well, the thing was, I didn't know.
All right, so Nathan, in order to give him a copy of The Curse of Michael Myers on Blu-ray, you got to buy some of his shit. So,
Joe, did you go to Walmart yet and find that end cap to buy it for $5?
Well, see, what had happened was
he knows the guy at Walmart, and the guy was like, "You're the guy that shops at McDonald's all the time. Here, have this Blu-ray."
But
I'll get fired. No, that's all right.
But see, there was a package in the mail, and I just opened it. I didn't know what the hell was in it, and this was just here's my contact. So that's how it happened. If he would have told me he was going to do it, I would have said no. So this just popped up out of nowhere.
There's I think I want to say GameStop. Maybe there was an exclusive version of that pop that was decked out in the purple from the video game.
Oh, well, you mean all 8-bit like this?
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah. He's going for fetching for Joe's just like, whatever.
No, that's what I was laughing at. Joe's got that like, I really don't give a shit, but that's fine. That's dynamite.
That's nice.
Oh Jesus! All right. Well, I think we babbled enough about Beetlejuice. What do you want to say? Any closing?
Did we talk enough about Beetlejuice, Tyler? What? We'll let Tyler be the verdict of this, because usually when we shut these shows off, he's like, we didn't talk about it enough.
Well, we've been going for an hour and a half now, so I kind of feel like if we tried to talk more, which I often worry if it's misleading when people are new to it or they I'm advertising Beetlejuice, and we got stories of Joe getting free Jason stuff. Like, what the hell is this shit?
Well, most people
know. Well, at least we contained it in our.
It's all horror related.
It's all horror related.
Yes. Which is good. We kept into that theme, and that's even something that you can even start saying at the beginning of the show. There's always the topics we do, but you always say, and for people that are new to this show, we like to do side rants. It might happen, so just prepare yourself because it does. It happens.
Well, I mean, we did provide the. I still want. I hope we talked about more about the toys because I just thought that was such a fun, byproduct of the movie, and just it was such a cool looking toy line. I only had 2 of the figures in the coffin, but that
same here.
And the cartoon was something we didn't touch on much either.
Yeah, and I know that is actually pretty cheap to get the entire series. I would like to go back and revisit that because, like you, I watched it a lot, but unlike you, I can't remember specific details about it other than like the intro and the style of the show. There's certain like moments from the show I haven't watched in like 20 some years. And one of the guys I work with, Josh, he told me he just recently purchased the set at Walmart for like $20, like the entire series. Yeah, I might have to go out and get that.
Yeah, which I watched a couple of clips on YouTube. I'm like, God, the opening sequence is very entertaining. The clips of it on YouTube, I'm like, this looks like it still holds up pretty damn good, like I figured it would. And I'm like, yeah, I'd absolutely love to go back and revisit the cartoon. The toys look great because it's got Michael Keaton's face sculpt perfectly on all the figures. One of my favorites was the shish kebab one, where you could take the swords and stick them all through his body. And they were perfect for G.I. Joe. So I used to take the shish kebabs out, use them as swords for my G.I. Joes because they would fit perfectly in a G.I. Joe's hand.
Yeah, I need to go peruse around eBay and maybe pick up a couple of those just to have.
Yeah, I mean, because I always wanted like the classic one with the white and black stripe, and they got the carousel head one, which my brother picked up at Happy's years ago.
Isn't it interesting with the suit? So much promos in it, but it's just there for the like one scene, and and that's it. Yeah, that's kind of like nuts to think
weird.
about.
Yeah, that's the image people think of.
Yeah, the image, and then just he's an iconic character, and he's in the movie maybe 15 minutes. I don't know. I don't know the total runtime. It might actually be less than that.
And the movie's not that long. It's like an hour and a half.
Yeah, which is
it's pretty short.
It's perfect. That like movies today, most of them are just so bloated with shit, and it's like you could take out 20 minutes and it would be perfect. And God, man, what an awesome movie! It established Tim Burton's style. It led to him getting Batman, which sort of, for Tyler and myself, Joe being a little bit older than us, but certainly just stuck with and propelled our childhoods.
No, it did. It also makes the characters always that more impactful and memorable because to have the movie where it be all about him, it wouldn't make sense. It makes it that much more enjoyable that you get to, here he is again. Here he is again. Every scene he pops up makes it exciting.
Yeah.
You got to think about that with almost like a lot of movies. I mean, even if you want to talk about the old Godzilla movies, Godzilla wasn't in on a ton. He would just pop up.
Which is why I couldn't watch those movies as a kid.
But no, what I'm saying is people would love it. And when Godzilla shows up, oh, shit. And even think about the first Elm Street. Yes, he has his parts with all his dreams and freaky shit, but a lot of times it's the kids and wonder what the fuck is going on and conversations with the parents and the legend of Freddy Krueger. So, yeah, it's always interesting with characters. Yeah, but Beetlejuice, I'm glad it was so perfect with every time he was used. I don't think, even though I loved and would have loved to see more, when you think about it, especially things he's done, I think it was enough. I think
less is more. Less is more.
Yeah. For this, it did. It worked perfect. Less is more. It was balanced out great with him, and along with the rest of the story, all the other characters we were talking about, and things seen in the afterlife or the waiting room. It was perfect. So.
They need to go back to that in terms of storytelling, and then also in regards to promotional material and trailers. Like trailers back then. Yeah, trailers back then were just, here's your one trailer to kind of. And it didn't even reveal that much. Now it's like, all right, they basically show you the entire plot. There's 4 trailers. Here's the final one with some additional footage. And it's just like, well, I've already seen the movie now.
That's why I told you. That's why I started getting spoiled to where I didn't want to watch trailers, is some of these movies would ruin it. And it never works with a comedy. I always said that's the worst one, is they'll show a preview for a comedy, then they might show another, and they'll have 3 total previews. And you're laughing your ass off at the previews. Then you get to the theater, how can you laugh at the thing that you've seen on a commercial 30, 40 times already? It's like, so you're not even laughing. Do you remember when they advertised, Jason Takes Manhattan? You remember how that was shown? It wasn't even showing shit that was in the movie. They're doing their images, showing people walking. You see somebody, I think they're playing Start Spreading the News or whatever the hell.
Yeah, they're playing Sinatra.
Yeah, and then turns around, it's Jason. That's all you needed. Like, oh my God, there's another Friday the 13th movie. And it worked beautifully. Every bit of things that they showed in that preview had nothing to do with the movie. But you knew it was coming and got your ass excited. So if they could try some clever ways of advertising without just spoiling everything, I would love to say I'd come aboard to watch trailers again, but I'm just scared. Every time it's like, oh, I know they're going to show fucking half the movie and ruin it.
Yeah. For me now, it sort of depends. I'm like, all right, well, with Predators, for example, I'm like, all right, well, let's see how much worse this is going to be. With Halloween, I think I've watched both of the trailers that they've released. Luckily, it seems like they haven't shown that much, but...
yeah, I won't watch the other trailer. Yeah. I just watched the one when Tyler said, Joe, it really won't spoil anything, I promise. So watch it the one time, and that's it. But yeah, when I'm sitting there watching wrestling or something else, and I hear ding ding, I'm like, oh shit, I go like that, or I change the channel. Like, I can't watch this. I did the one time. My dad was like, "What the hell are you doing?" It's like I can't. It's like Halloween. Oh God, I need help. So that's October 19th when it comes out, or when the hell is it?
Yeah,
we got 2 more weeks, I think.
Okay.
A week from this Friday, but it will be 2 weeks from today when we have our discussion on it.
It'd be nice if they gave some promotional shit when you went to the movies. I miss that. Sometimes you go to a movie and
they do it occasionally. They'll hand out posters and stuff like that too for certain movies, but for the most part, it's not for.
Been a long time for me. It seems like since they've given away some cool shit. I don't know. I can't think of the last time I got anything going to the movies. I mean, do you remember getting anything recently?
Other than, like Tyler said, when they would have posters setting out, and most of the time those posters are just things that I had no interest in. But as far as actually tying into the movie opening weekend that I'm going to see, man, that's been a long, long, long time.
I can think of only 2 occasions that I can recall, like the actual movie theaters were. Like when basketball came out, they had like these plush basketballs that the theater was selling.
Really?
And they were like plush basketballs, like pretty good size. That they were, I don't know if they were giving away or selling, but me and my brother both saw them on display with some of the staff kind of standing with them. We're like, oh wow, that'd have been awesome. We could have got one of those. And then when Batman opened up, the theater downtown, Nathan knows what I'm talking about. The concession stand, they had trading cards in the candy case that you could buy individually. And I remember my dad taking me out to the concession stand to buy a couple of the individual trading cards from Topps.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and they had like a Batman straw box, like a box of straws with Batman. They kept that straw box for, probably almost a good decade or two on the concession stand, still from Batman '89. I remember just being in awe seeing that straw box there for years. But other than that, I can't really recall any of the other movie experiences I've gone to where they had stuff at the theater that was like that stood out, other than like just kind of some giveaway 11x17 posters.
The last cool things I remember is before I started doing customs, and there was that one place I worked at before they went bankrupt. During almost lunchtime, the radio stations were always having these contests to go to see the premiere of whatever movie was at that time. And we had such a quick phone system. I was like always caller 7, or if they had trivia, I was always answering the trivia. And I'm not exaggerating. I've probably gone, shut up, Nathan. I've probably gone to 40 or 50 pre-screenings, meaning it was like 2 or 3 days before the actual opening. And when you go to the pre-screenings, and if
you're the only one there, right? Mom boss.
When you're like maybe the first 10, 15, or 20 in line, they always had free shit. I remember like when the Spider-Man movie was there, I got some comics, I got some cool digital pens, posters. They would have things where if you're sitting in the theater, then they would randomly, before you go in, that's the other thing, you write your name on a piece of paper and you
Let me guess, you won those too.
He's like, I fucking hate Joe. Well,
he's the luckiest man in the world.
Of course, because I'm sure Joe did some favors for the guy running the theaters. So therefore, he takes all the names out, throws them away. Son of a bitch!
Look,
son of a gun.
I better win this. If I don't, Gonna
Well,
murder
I'm
your
gonna
family.
tell you the trick. This is the trick to where you can almost have your name grabbed every time. And I won for the one time I went for when it was oh Jesus, Superman Returns. When I went to that premiere, I got 3 seasons of Smallville that I won because they chose my name. But then they had all these other promotional things. But this is the trick. You write your name on the piece of paper. They say drop it in. Then when you're all sitting in the theater before the movie starts, they said, okay, we're going to draw for the name to see, who could win this DVD set. And sometimes they give away comics and other things. And they reach in and pull out. The reason they grab my name is I would write it down. I didn't just drop that piece of paper in. Do a slight curve. Roll it to where it makes a curve and then slip it into that box. And when it drops, it has a curvature, meaning most times when people grab in, it's going to stick to their hand.
Come up with some sort of like scientific method on like draw boxes.
Well, hey,
stuff like
this is the
that.
thing. When they stick their hand in, it almost every time grabs to their finger. Think of that.
Joe, the master of free
this.
shit.
You have to take time at home, and you're sitting there on the drawing board, and God, throwing away this,
but
throwing away that.
It
idea.
worked. I've won so many DVD box sets. Got the Mask of Zorro's outfit for Halloween, the one that was drawn so I could be Zorro. So many things I've been to, but I went to so many free screenings, and at those they gave tons of shit away. God, I got overthrow things from Fun with Dick and Jane. I got hats and
you're proud of that?
Well, I'm just saying, I got hats and that's from Secret Window. Some people liked it, some people didn't, but I just got a lot of crazy shit. I got so many things in this closet over here with those other things. A lot of stuff that I won.
All right, you know what? We should have an episode dedicated to just you showing all these promotional items that you've won for all these shitty fucking movies, man. Like, what?
I've done a ton of pre-screenings. Some have been hits or misses, but hell, when it's free, all you got to do is tell Joe something's free.
That's right. Joe is just like, Lyle Tillman on Andy Dick show, And guess what? It's free. We need to. Joe, did you ever see that?
No.
Oh my God, Nathan knows what I'm talking about too. We need to show it because he's trying to let people know you can find everything for free. Everything from going to a lunch buffet and getting, a suit with exclamation points and call the Department of Punctuation free. And I'll send it to Joe. Joe may have no idea what we're talking about. It's like a minute of your time to watch this guy. Because I thought after we started doing the podcast and I sent it to Nathan, we were both like, this is kind of what Joe would be doing. Like just saying.
It's just weird. The amount of weird things I got, not only just the stuff winning to go to the pre-screenings, but on the radio when they have contests where you could win stuff to, like Heroes. When Heroes on TV, some people liked it, some people hated it. It started off good, might have got worse, but I remember watching it, and they'd have like a little bit of trivia. And the one time I called in the radio station, I used to use different people's voices and names in my family because the same person could not win. So I would use my cousin.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Amato.
No, but I would use all these different names, but then it meant, hey, I'm picking this up for this person or that person. Or sometimes my dad had to go in, my cousin had to go in, but I get the prize. But I won a Heroes jacket that's still in there from the show.
Jackets.
I got a $250 gift card that was a Visa card, and it was because I won on Heroes, and it even still says Heroes on it. I had, I think, 50 cents left on it, and I just always left the 50 cents on and kept the card. But, yeah, I got a lot of crazy shit. I won my wife and kids when that was on TV.
I thought you said you have a wife and kids.
No, there was a show. My wife and kids.
My wife and kids. Isn't that the Wayans? It was his show, right? Or am I thinking something else?
Yeah. It was Damon Wayans, Tisha Campbell. But they had throughout the week. This one particular radio station was going to have 10 times that people could win.
What happened to Beetlejuice?
Out of the 10 chances, I won chances for 7 people out of the 10. One of them was the guy that I worked with. He was having a pretty rough Christmas, and he had some kids, and he wasn't able to get them everything they wanted. Well, they had 3 big prizes they were giving away. Grand prize was a 52-inch widescreen TV. Second prize was a PSP, and the third prize was this camcorder. Well, they finally announced out of the 10 people that qualified, they had the day where they're announcing the winners. Okay, third prize is blah, 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 who won the camcorder. It was nobody I qualified for. Second place, it was the guy named Eric Blosser that I worked with. He won the PSP. And the grand prize, I used my nephew's dad's name and did this crazy voice. I impersonated his voice, all this stuff. He won the 52-inch, and I remember calling my nephew. I woke up, it was like 7 o'clock in the morning. It was before I was going to work, and I was like, I got to call Christian. I got to call him. I called, and his dad answered, like, can I talk with Christian? And he said, yeah, hold on. He's getting ready for school. And got on the phone, and he said, hello. I said, hey, Chris, it's Uncle Joe. I was like, yeah, well, why are you calling? It's early. I was like, I just want to let you know. He said,
I used your name and won a prize.
He's like, and I said, I just want to let you know, your dad won that TV for you. You got the 50. He's like, wait, I won the 52-inch because I used his dad's name, but it was for Christian, and he lost his shit. He was screaming. I heard his dad screaming in the background. It was just the coolest thing. And then I get to work, and Eric, right when he came over, was like, Joe, you believe they called? He's like, I got the PSP. I was like, oh, congratulations, man. He's like, I can't keep that, though. I was like, why? He's like, you're the one that qualified. He's like, you're the one. He's like, I can't do that. I was like, no. I said, Eric, trust me, man. I was like, I don't need that. I said, and plus I did that for you. I said, this is going to get your kids something kind of cool. I was like, trust me. And he started tearing up because he felt like it was a hand-me-down or, and I was like, no. I was like, man, it's fine, Eric. Trust me. It's like, you know me. I'm always winning things for people. I don't care. I said, it's yours, buddy. I was like, you just enjoy that for your kids in Christmas. And he said, thanks. And it was just kind of a cool moment.
The patron saint Amato over here.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's like, don't worry. Someday I may come to ask a favor of you for Sunday. I'm sure Joe says that under his lips as he walks away. The father is just like, I've had a magical Christmas. Next thing Joe's been asked the guy to go out and like kill a horse or something like that.
But no, it was. I used to do things. I got obsessed with winning so much that I would win for people at work, and sometimes it'd be like money. They would actually be giving away money and prizes, and I won a lot of things for people, and it was just it always it was something I wanted to do. I didn't want to hog everything.
Are you trying to make me and Nathan look bad here?
No, he's like, what? How did that happen? But I did. I would win things for people all the time. It was a good feeling. That's all.
Fuck the Dos Equis guy, man. Joe Amato is the most interesting man on earth.
Yeah.
All these random things. God, like, what was it you got from Fun with Dick and Jane again?
It's a hoodie. I still have it. It's a hoodie. It's a
hoodie.
Because there was a part in the movie where, he did that. They put on the hoodie. He's going to do some robbing. So I think that was just a little thing to tie in with the movie. So I still got that hoodie. Got a lot of weird crap. Oh, God, I'm done. Okay, you can wrap it up. Sorry about that. Just side rant.
Well, final thoughts on Beetlejuice.
Great movie. I should watch it again. It's been 5 years. And
yeah, you probably should, Joe.
I should. I mean, it's been a long.
I'm sure you got a free copy in there somewhere of the movie.
But there's nothing I dislike about the movie. Almost when Tyler was talking about the part with Banana Boat and not liking singing, which I understand, and I hate that type of stuff too. It's the only time it worked for me, and just I can't think of anything in that movie that didn't work, sucked, or was not interesting. Everything about it was just a fun ride from the beginning to the end.
It's absolute perfection, and it's a testament, to how good a director Tim Burton used to be, and it's a shame that's not the kind of quality entertainment we get from him anymore. But it's also a product of the '80s, and the '80s by far is the greatest decade of filmmaking. I will argue with that with anybody, regardless of what we got in the '70s. It's just it's a great, as the '80s is winding down. We get Michael Keaton's, I think, two greatest films, at least in my opinion. At the tail end of it there. I think it's a great movie for kids. It's not meant for kids, but I think it's something that kids can handle.
I think it's a good introduction to the genre and the weirdness that comes with it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got some creepy visuals that, yes, ought to give a kid a jolt, boy or girl. Mm-hmm. But I also don't feel like it's something that, if it does give them nightmares, okay, more power to it, but I don't think it's something that's complete. Because when we watched it as kids, my parents were not off-put by what was in it at all. They had a blast watching it. Both my parents did. So I don't think it was anything that's too much for kids. And, have some balls here, current day parents. Show them Beetlejuice. I'll be one of those parents that's like afraid to show their kids this or that or something like that. At least that's the image that's presented with the masses with parents today. Not to say that all parents today are not afraid to introduce their children to stuff that we grew up on for fear that it's going to, traumatize them, and we can't have hurt feelings today and spilt milk and melted ice cream or anything like that, and make sure they get in the trophy too. It's okay to introduce your kids to a little bit of fear factor, not the shitty show on NBC, but let them know that it's all right to be scared. You know, it's fine. It's a natural feeling, and it's fun. All three of us, people who listen, it's fun to reflect on the things that scared you when you were a kid. You remember those feelings of being anxious because here it comes, or shocked and thinking about it afterwards. And, you know, when you would rewatch it, that build up and waiting for it, it's fun to reflect on that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, Beetlejuice is an excellent example of that.
Yeah, I would. Everything that Tyler just said is basically exactly what I would say. It's one of those films. I think I'm not a big fan of Hocus Pocus, and
I love Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, I don't like.
Parker's really hot in that movie.
But you know, Beetlejuice, Hocus Pocus, Witches.
Oh man, Witches is awesome.
Little Monsters.
Yep.
Yeah, just all of those things that have a lot of scary stuff.
Horror, yeah.
But not to the extreme as we have the slashers. Beetlejuice is the perfect way to enter. Like, if I ever have a kid, that would be one of the first movies that I would let them watch to sort of let them have a tiny taste of just weird, scary things. But not so scary that it's going to, like, keep me up all night too, because they don't want to go to sleep.
And it may give you a hard dinger too. So.
That dinger thing, by the way, that's I guess that's my gimmick now, right? Like, that's just gonna stick with me from here on out.
It's become part of popular culture, you know.
It is. Tyler has the hard nipples, you have the hard dingers, so that they're hand in hand. They go together. When you get excited and there's something that you enjoy, you're gonna get hard nipples or a hard dinger. So pretty much it works.
Oh my god. Anyway, speaking of how we usually tend to veer off topic and whatnot, next week should be slightly different because we're going to be covering 2 movies instead of 1 for the episode. We don't know what 2 we're going to do yet, but that's the plan, at least. I don't know what direction you guys want to go in with this. If you want to kind of do like,
got to get the Monster Squad in there. That's got to be
fun. Yeah.
All right, we'll go ahead and put that one down. Monster Squad being one of the 2, and I'll go along with whatever you guys want to do.
I don't know.
It'll be a surprise. We'll wait. We'll send it to next week. It'll be a surprise along with our side rant.
Well, it may be Dr. Giggles.
Oh my god.
All right, Nathan, go ahead. Do your closings.
Yeah.
Thanks to everyone that joined us live today. It's always a pleasure having you guys around. I think I've already got a Photoshop message from Janish waiting for me. I'm sure you guys do as well. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe and ring that bell so you get notified when we go live. You can join the chat room and join the discussion. Make sure you like this video. Leave a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on Beetlejuice and maybe some of your spooky and scary stories. If you've seen shadow people or almost went into an abandoned house and got too afraid, check the links down below. There we go. We got the audio versions on Podbean. Go to beyondretropodcast.com, which will take you to the Beyond Retro page on Pop Culture Network. There you will also find the other shows, Capes and Commentaries, Fans of Power, which is the Masters of the Universe podcast that Joe and Tyler do, which will be happening here in about roughly 5 hours. So that'll be a lot of fun. And if you want to check us out on iTunes, make sure you look up Pop Culture Network, and all the shows will be there as well. It's a fun show. I liked that we told a lot of spooky stories. I enjoyed that a lot. If we have any more of those going through the next few weeks that you guys can remember, keep them in mind, because I'd like to talk more about that stuff, because I think it's interesting. Just certain things that people have seen. Like I'll tell one of my great-grandmother next week that I think will be kind of interesting to a few people.
I look forward to hearing it. I'm sure I'll have something too. So yeah, that will be good.
Thank
you everybody in the chat room for joining us. It was great having you here. It was fun. Yeah. Make sure you come here next week.
Joe looks really tired now, so
he's hungry.
Yeah.
I'm hungry. I'm lightheaded.
Time for McDonald's. We'll see you guys next week.
That's right.